everybody, today we have another guest speaker. This is my good friend NC. He is a fellow Case grad with an engineering degree. He has taken a bunch of interesting paths in his career, so he's going to talk to you about those today. His current startup is in super stealth mode, so he can't talk about the name or anything, but he may be able to give you a few little pointers on it. But he's also founder of Alley NYC. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. It's a co-working space that now has 2 locations?
Yeah, 4 locations.
4! Bonkers. NC started that. It's fun to go in there because you can still see like little signs of NC everywhere. Big, be awesome everywhere you go. So without further ado, this is NC. As always, please interrupt me and ask any questions if there's anything you can do. Cool. Anyway.
What's your new startup called?
It's top secret right now. The name is top secret, but what we're doing is not top secret. We're basically just making it easier to live in underserved areas. So areas that are typically underserved. Making it a better place to live. So my name is NC. I went to Case Western Missouri University, Cleveland, Ohio, a long time ago. It feels like ages ago. I majored in mechanical and electrical engineering. For the longest time, I wanted to be an engineer, ever since I was a kid. So, to give you full backstory, my parents are Nigerian, came to the country with very clear rules about what I should be. I should be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, maybe a teacher, if I could be like a very wealthy teacher, which is not a thing. So I did that for a little bit, ended up working at General Electric, blowing up microwaves and stove tops and built refrigerators and things like that, things that you might find in Macy's now. It was too slow for me, so I went back to school and started working on shark gel. Basically, you ever watch in Matrix there, they look for ways, the robots in Matrix are using human beings as batteries. My master's thesis was around doing that. So we use shark gel as a way to convert body temperature into electricity. Shark gel's the inside the pores of sharks. Sharks are technically blind. They use temperature differences to maneuver in the water. So basically, we harness that, create these nanotubes, and use it to convert electricity to energy. Convert heat into energy. And it was cool, but very slow and very boring for me. I'm like for parties and I DJ, sell CDs and hustle. You don't really do that when you're sitting in a lab all day. Figuring out the pH factor for shark gel. It's not the same. So ended up doing that for about a year and left to go start a company called Mobile Discovery in DC. Basically, we were getting folks to use QR codes. Has anyone ever been to Sweet Green or Gregory's Coffee? Okay. So you ever use the app to purchase? No? Well, or Starbucks. Starbucks has an app you use to purchase. Okay. So back then, when we were Mobile Discovery, we were getting newspapers to put QR codes in their newspapers. You guys know what QR code is? Yeah. So it wasn't going very well. We raised $2 million to do this. This was our first business. That was the inspiration. It was not exactly China, but Japan was the inspiration. So we weren't able to get newspapers to do it, so we were going to pivot to get retailers to incorporate QR codes in their point of sale systems. Ran out of money, didn't work out so well, ended up sitting in my car for like 2 months. Meanwhile, our competitor called Scavenger, which is now called Level Up, did exactly that. They put it inside apps. So now they power Sweet Green, they power Starbucks, they power all these things. So we raised money around the same time. They raised $12 million, we raised $2 million. I thought I was a badass because I had this engineering degree and I could do all these things. And if you drop me on an island, I could figure it out. But clearly couldn't raise enough money to last through the recession. So I ended up starting a tutoring company out of the car. Grew that to about 30 people, sold it, and moved to New York. While in New York, I worked at a law firm as an engineer in the law firm. So basically, I have an office with a bunch of whiteboards, and you come to me with your crazy idea, and I tell you what's bullshit, and I tell you that all that's bullshit, but this is what we're going to focus on. This is the defensible piece. This is the piece that's going to make you a lot of money, and we're going to patent the crap out of this. And we're going to create a whole lot of patents around this, so that no one can get into this, basically building these patent portfolios. So I did that for around 2 years, worked with a lot of engineers, and worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and banks, and video game companies, and basically just using the engineering mindset, the tools that you're developing while here and in school, just a way of thinking and a way to break problems down. It was really fun because you get to hear people share their ideas and you tell them, again, candidly, all that's bullshit. This is the only thing that matters. This is what we're going to focus on. You can continue working on that. We're going to focus on this piece. So did that for about 2 years, and one day we were debating words, because this is a law firm, and you're doing patents, you're building patents, and you're debating every single word matters in the case that you might get sued, because you're building this patent so that in case there's some sort of case in court, you can argue in your favor. So certain words will change the meaning of the patent. We were debating 2 words, and I said, this is crazy. I gotta get back out on the street. So I left again and started climbing some mountains. Did Kilimanjaro. Started raising money for another venture fund. We were going to invest in technology for underserved communities. At least that was the core idea at the time. And then I stumbled into my business partner, and we built this thing called Alley, which is a network of co-working spaces. We compete with a company called WeWork. You guys know WeWork? Yeah, kinda, sorta, no? So WeWork is for those of you guys who don't know it, WeWork is a shared office space company. On its face, that's what it is, but really what it is a real estate company. They build buildings. They're basically reprogramming buildings. You walk around the city, you see all these skyscrapers and tall buildings and all that. There's offices inside these buildings. What they do and what we do is we reprogram those buildings. There's a way those buildings were filled up at one point. We now go in, we redesign the building, we make things cooler, we add like printers, we add Wi-Fi, we add yoga rooms, we add rooms for you to take a nap. We put inspirational things up on the walls, we curate the crowd, we make sure like a building is just a food building and another building is maybe just a VR building. By the way, subtle plug, we have a VR lab at Chelsea, my space. You should come check it out. It's dope. It's super dope. Yeah, so that's what we all do. WeWork is much bigger though. WeWork is a couple $1 billion, and we're a humble few $1 million. But we're way better. We're like like your mom and pop coffee shop that you love to go to because you know the cat and you know what kind of coffee you like there. Versus WeWork is the Starbucks, huge and is everywhere. So that's that business.
Who did the project selection workshop? We were at Alley. That's his location.
Oh, yeah.
You guys actually went to that.
Yeah. You guys always look this up. Appreciate it.
Hey, every
So many
year,
moments.
if you go to DC and Boston, I got you. Yeah, so that's my last business. And I actually left that in December to start working on my next, which is very much so focused on underserved communities that are typically underrepresented and just don't see innovations and solid products presented to them. Yeah, so that's it. Questions? Question?
Me?
Yeah.
What does your average day look like?
What's my average day look like right now?
Yeah, like what we're doing on a daily basis.
Okay, so right now I'm fundraising, candidly. So to give you some background, the last 3-4 months, if I describe it, then you'll know what I'm doing. Okay, well, so this is how it goes. So last 3-4 months.
I'll turn it on the computer.
Yeah, so last 3-4 months we've been.
It's also NDAs.
That's okay. It's not a big deal. The last 3-4 months, basically there are chefs on my team, there are architects on my team, there are chefs and architects, I could say that. So last 3-4 months we've been working together building out a set of products. And we figured out how to create products that are extremely cost effective. As an example, you go to Chipotle now. You go to Chipotle?
Yeah.
Chipotle is like $12 for a bowl. Call it $12, right? Yeah. So we can make a Chipotle bowl for $5. Same exact bowl, tastes exactly the same for $5, and we can make it so we're profitable. It's not a charity. We're making money off that bowl, and we can do a number of things like that. At the same time, when you go to a Chipotle, one of the things about a Chipotle is that location is owned by Chipotle Mexican Grill, this large company. And the folks who work at the Chipotle have no ownership of that location. They get paid their hourly rate, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there are other amenities that come with working there, but there are, like, they have, like, you know, second language programs, and they'll pay for college to some extent. But you have no ownership in the success of that space. The last 3-4 months, we've been working on things like that. So, something like that. Something like that. Franchise is a way of looking at it. So maybe like franchise meets crowdfunding. Maybe. But so the short of it is now that we've figured out exactly where our unit economics are, and we've proven a couple of things. Like the last 3-4 months has basically been the scientific method manifested across the city, and we've proven out our model. And now we're talking to investors every single day. So I get up at around 5:30, 6 o'clock, go to the gym, work myself to failure, and then sit in a Starbucks, sit in maybe at Alley, sit at a coffee shop, and shoot out emails for the entire morning. And then I have meetings from 12 onward. I have 3-4 meetings this evening. And just pitching, basically telling people what the big vision is, why they need to invest in me and my team, and why they're going to make a lot of money if they sit with us for the next 5, 10, 15 years. That's my day-to-day. And then in the evenings, if there's any time, I'm trying to get to one of our kitchens or one of our labs and figure some things out. What's up?
Being a Nigerian American yourself, what do you think was the biggest challenge of going into this field, and how did you overcome it?
Well, being that I'm what?
Nigerian American.
Nigerian American. And which field?
In
In
engineering.
engineering. The biggest challenge. I would say, I mean, for me, the biggest challenge going into CASE was that I was behind compared to everyone else. You guys are fortunate enough that, remind me again, everyone here is in high school. Got it. You guys are so when I was in high school, I didn't go to programs like this. I had DARE, I had some Red Cross program. I had a group that I started called Fresh Daily Crew. We're basically a group of break dancers and spoken word artists and rappers and producers. I did Model United Nations. I did Academic Decathlon. I did debate. Did Engineers Without Borders. But I didn't have these kinds of things. So when I went into CASE, which is a really good school for engineering, there were things I was behind on. Even though I took every single AP class, I was behind in certain things. There were certain things that kids in my school had already done. They'd gone to certain camps, and they'd made certain relationships with folks, and they'd been programming for a while that I'd never done. And it wasn't really a consequence of me being Nigerian American, it's just a consequence of my parents not knowing enough prior to me going to college to place me into certain things, like saying you should go to this camp because it's going to put you in a great position when you go off to college. That's one thing. The other thing I would say, as you do get into school, and this is speaking to you as a Nigerian American, or speaking to anyone who's, anybody really, college and high school are great times to figure out yourself. Let me get real existential with you for a moment. But it's a great time to figure out what you're good at and what you're not good at. It's a great time to build up relationships with folks, find out what you want to become, and just start asking more and more questions of yourself, because the world is going to ask you questions. It's going to ask you to define yourself, and you're going to have people tell you all the time that you should be a certain thing, that you should be asking certain things, and that you're too young to get it. But if you really leverage college in the right way, and you apply that engineering mindset to hacking your life, I think you can make some serious efficiencies about it, some serious strides. And that's even more important, candidly speaking. To me personally, as a Nigerian American, walking into a room, and a lot of times you will be the only black person in the room. Having a sense of self is really important. And this is to anybody in this room, having a strong sense of self, who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, is really important. Especially as we get into an age where I think it's very important for people to have perspectives. Like, I'm in the business of perspective. When I go to pitch an investor, I'm pitching my unique view of the world. Like, this is what the world's going to look like in the next 100 years. And this is why you need to come ride with me, because we're going to change the world over the next 100 years. So that unique perspective is very important. And we all bring different things to the table. So college is a great way to kind of, parse the bullshit from the reality.
You had a stable job at a laboratory and a law firm, but you took a risk to do something else. How did you because obviously there's a possibility that you could fail and end up without a job. So how did you decide to take the risk and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I I wouldn't really say it was a risk. It was a risk for my parents. My parents viewed it as a crazy thing because we spent all this money to go to college, and you know they're Nigerian.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be an engineer, you're supposed to be a doctor, those type of things. So it was a risk for them. But for me, it was more just a natural progression of things. So like when I was a kid, I sold Pogs. You guys know what Pogs are? You guys don't know what Pogs are. What am I saying? Pogs are like these little, these circle cardboard things, and you have a plastic steel slammer, and you stack your Pogs up, and they come in different colors and different themes, and you slam your slammer on it, and it's just really nuanced game. It's kind of
Very nuanced.
yeah, it's very simple. So basically, when I was in elementary school, I sold those. So the moment that I knew I could sell something and get more money for it than what I paid, I knew that there was something there. When I was in high school, I made a lot of money off Dr. Dre's Chronic 2001. I made a lot of money off Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP and the Slim Shady LP. Basically, asked my parents to give me a CD writer, and I burned CDs all weekend. I'd come into school on a Monday, and I would sell those CDs and make a significant amount of money. So on one side, I'm going to be this engineer. On the other side, I'm thinking I'm going to be an engineer with a company that says like NC Incorporated, and we build robots. And I'm going to sell these robots to people for more money than it cost me to make. So it wasn't really a risk. What the risk was articulating this sort of shift in what I'm doing to my parents and getting them to really realize what it is I wanted to do. But I would also say that when you go on this entrepreneurial journey or you decide to like leave more stable positions, and candidly there's nothing wrong with working at a GE or Google or anything in these places. These are great places to work. I have many friends who work at all these places, great places. It's not for everybody to do what I'm doing or to even do what they're doing. Maybe you should become a chef. Like that's just another way of thinking as well. The big risk is just, managing your headspace. I'm a big fan of being mentally strong, regardless of what your career is. So, I'm 32 years old now, and I've lived quite a little life. I've been homeless. I've gotten myself out of my car. I've been broke many times. I've been done dirty. I've had deals go bad. I've had deals go very well. I've done quite a bit, and mentally I feel very strong about myself and about the role that I have. And I think it's the same for yourself. The risk is it's not working on yourself as you're making decisions and as you're taking on a certain job. If you're not taking a job that's challenging you, why are you doing it? Is it because you just want to have this solid gig so you can take care of family? If that's the case, cool. But if you're not challenging yourself in some way, you need to really personally reevaluate what you're doing. Sort of you have a responsibility to keep pushing yourself. That makes sense.
How do you use your college experience to further your entrepreneurial?
How have I used it?
What did you do in college that towards the entrepreneurial side?
Yeah. So at Case Western is in Cleveland, Ohio. Number one, Cleveland, Ohio is not a poppin' city. It's not. It's not. I'm sorry if anyone here has an affinity for Cleveland, but it's not. Despite what LeBron's doing there, despite the Cavs having won the championship, it's not hot. And I was born in LA, so going to Cleveland, there just wasn't too many things to do. So one of the things we did leverage was the fact that there wasn't much to do. We throw parties on a regular basis, so that helped with the entrepreneurial journey. I would have, we threw parties once a month. We gather as many people we could from John Carroll, from Kent State, from Case, from Cleveland State, just schools that are around us who are also bored out of their minds, and we invite them to come to our party. And they'd pay for the drinks and pay for all the other things. That was one thing. The other thing was that idle time, or the perceived idle time, the fact that it was really boring, gave me time to get very good at my studies and also just explore a little bit more of the ideas that I had. So we started a couple of things while I was in school, built out this Engineer Without Borders program in school, but also really allowed me to double down on my dual degree, which was engineering, mechanical and electrical engineering. Leaving Case, the benefit of having the way I leverage school for the rest of the world is that a lot of times as an engineer you're going into a room and people don't have that engineering mindset. They just don't know how to think like an engineer. They don't break problems down and they don't pursue the failure. There's something very gratifying in trying something out, it fails, and then you try it again, it keeps fine. In that moment it works. Something worked. I heard somebody say something about a wire. It was a wire. That moment that thing works, that is it's a great feeling. And most people they give up. They give up after like the first time it doesn't work. They say, it's not for me, it's not gonna work, it's never gonna work. And in every part of business, every part of life, you have these moments where things just don't work, and the people who end up being more successful in my experience are the ones who keep trying, despite it not working. So college was a great thing for me in that. We did a lot of experiments, we worked on a lot of things, we were forced to think about why something wasn't working, and we had to ask questions around it. It's a whole engineering mindset that you have. So I hope that answers your question. Really long answer, but it answers it. What's up?
What drove you to form this company? It's not like his question, more like what the company itself. What made you want to go into kitchen and
Yeah. So the most recent company, Alley. When we say Alley, let's say, well, yeah, say Alley. Every single company that I've started so far, especially from Alley going forward, has been hard. So it's been, I have sort of an affinity for when people say something can't, when people say that there's, so that the world is sort of structured in a certain way. There's certain things that we agree and we kind of just unconsciously accept. Like we accept that, for example, that Chipotle bowl should be $10 or $12 or $15. That that's just the way it should be. But why is that? Like, why is a bowl $15? Why can't it be $5? Or that you know the only way for you to get around is with a gas-powered vehicle. Why can't we have an electric-powered vehicle? What are the challenges? What are the things that are in our way? And what are the things that are like mentally constraining us? So this current business and the past business has been because we started them because there was a person or groups of people who told us that the way things are, the way things have to always be. And I think there are ways that things can be better. Second to that is that every business has sort of centered around this idea of community and bringing people together. I think like even like this room is an example of the potential and the capacity we have when people are collaborating and interacting. The more we collaborate, the more we interact, the better chance we have against the robots that are coming. And the AI that's coming.
Robotic uprising.
Yeah, but I mean our ability to communicate and like get over ourselves, and push past ourselves and just share ideas and debate, just have more of those serendipitous moments, creates even more discoveries and a more even playing field for all of us. So Alley brought people together. Put people in a room, you work on different things, you raise money, you debate, you fight, you come out with a business that then raises money and then you hire people. This new business, similar concept, except we're using a different channel to do that. And we're focusing on communities where that sort of collaboration isn't really as stressed because it can be challenging to live there and hard to just see the opportunities that are around you.
In your time, you went to a lot of cities. Like, what do you think is the next big city for technology? Because you know about New York and LA. But what like city do you think is like the next big tech city?
The next big city for technology. Yeah, there's a really interesting guy named Steve Case. He's a former founder of AOL. He has no AOL is. Yeah. So he has this thing called Revolution Growth Partners, and they invested in a thing called Sweet Green. They've invested in a couple of companies you guys probably know, or maybe may not know, but you guys consume. And he's a big fan of this thing called the Rise of the Rest. So like the major cities that exist in the country, these tier 1 cities, there's like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. That's pretty much it. All the other cities, they all have like their focuses. I don't necessarily think that there's, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think there's any one city that's going to be like the next tech city. I don't think that's really the thing. I think it's more so, I think pretty much everyone is in the race for the next big city, especially if you're a tier 2, tier 3 city. So if you're a DC, if you're a Philadelphia, if you're a Austin or Dallas, like those cities are in good positions. And also it really depends on what vertical of technology we're talking about. We're talking about like 3D printing. There are certain cities that are really doubling down on that and trying to make 3D printing facilities. I mean, Brooklyn is doing a good job of creating innovation hubs in Brooklyn. There are buildings being dedicated to just food innovation. And there are buildings being dedicated just to real estate innovation. Like that's a legitimate thing that the New York City Economic Development Corporation is focusing on, like reprogramming the city so that there are innovation halls. Cornell Tech Campus is doing something similar. So I don't know that there's any one city. I guess the sort of it kind of depends. Yourself. Yeah. And I'll come back to you.
How exactly did you start the process of founding your first company? Like, what did you start with? Did you just have an idea and you went to investors, or?
Yeah, so the first company was the first company that we raised money for was called Mobile Discovery. In that business, we my partner came to me with the idea, and his idea was that he went to Japan, he saw all these QR codes everywhere. Let's try it out on campus. So we basically did a QR code campaign on our campus at Case, partnered with a newspaper. The overall concept is to build an MVP, minimum viable product. And in many cases, you might find a comp for that in the scientific method. It's just like your very, very first test. Before spending all this money doing all these crazy things, you just do a very minimal version of your assumptions, or you try to verify some of your assumptions and see what works. And once we saw some traction, we then wanted to show that we had growth, that we had users using it, that we had engagement, that we had people actually scanning. And then on the other side of the marketplace, because there's two sides of the marketplace, one side is the users, and the other side is the publishers, the newspapers and the magazines that are going to put the QR codes up. Once we could get a number of people signing up in Cleveland, we then felt like we had enough to start pitching investors. We said, hey, we have 10,000 people we had 1,000 people, given the campus at 3600 students, 1,000 kids who are scanning the code, and then we have these newspapers who are signing up. And we use that story and pitched investors. For Alley, it's very similar. In Alley, we were fortunate enough to have one of our business partners is a really borderline genius, sort of crazy real estate guy. So he knew of a property. We took the property. That was really shitty, really crappy property. Still a crappy property to this day. No disrespect to anyone's ever been there. It's not Chelsea. It's one of our very first ones. And we basically just renovated it and filled it up. And once we filled it up, we then hunted down investors and showed them what we've done with lemons. We were able to create lemonade with these lemons. Imagine what we could do if we had an awesome space, and if we had money, and if we had a staff. So typically, unless you come from money, the best way to get started is just to start with what you have. Prove out some of your core assumptions. A common question you may get is, what's your riskiest assumption? What's the riskiest part of your business? That if it failed, the entire business will fall apart. Prove that piece out using as little resources as you possibly can. And then you start talking to people who could potentially invest in you. And the investment piece is not really asking for money off the bat. It's like first asking for advice, following up like a month after, showing that you took their advice and you did something, and then asking for money later. So,
What is the biggest thing you've learned from your life experiences starting a company, going to engineering?
yeah, there's a couple big things, but one is, there's a couple big things. One is that you should get comfortable being uncomfortable, and you should get used to failing. Like failing is not like it's not a bad thing. People kind of position the world as though you should accumulate as many wins as possible, but I don't really believe in that. I think like people can start pretty late in life and be successful. Like the founder for Walmart didn't start Walmart until he was like 46 or 50, and Walmart's a multi-billion-dollar business. Like he was, doing his thing throughout his 20s and his 30s and didn't do anything significant until he was 46 or 50. But I think he had a number of failures going to that point. There are many examples of folks like that. So being open to failure, being open to being uncomfortable, because the more comfortable you are in uncomfortable situations, sincerely, it's like a superpower, because people around you will buckle. Like one thing goes wrong and they buckle. That's it. I give up and they'll get a regular job. But you stay just a little bit longer, then you see that discovery open itself up, and now you're the only one in the room. That means it's all for you. I mean, all that money you're about to make, it's all you. That's all you. Everyone else gave up. So that's a beautiful thing, to be able to have the endurance and resilience to withstand it. So I'd say that's my biggest lesson. Anything else?
One more question.
What sort of annual income?
I'm sorry? What's my annual income? I'm not mad at the question. I mean, you're embracing failure, and the failure that I'm going to bestow upon you is that it's enough.
I find if you ask them what their parents make, it's quiet.
Oh, really?
All right, so that's it. Thank you.